Chap 141. Powerful Grand Disciple. Loud explosion. After saying that, Ji Xianchen noticed a nervous expression on Han Ju's face. He was very pleased. It seemed that his talent could still intimidate the other party. Han Ju asked carefully, "If I win this time, will you come and spar with me again?" Upon hearing this, Ji Xianchen immediately became unhappy. "What do you mean, you're too conceited? Impossible. I, Ji Xianchen, am invincible. Previously, I was only weaker than you in cultivation level. Now, I will definitely defeat you. Just use the move that killed the Fiend Emperor." "I'll take it." Han Ju was speechless. Why do young people want to die? He hesitated. "Is that necessary?" Ji Xianchen snorted. "What? Are you afraid of losing to me? You must accept the challenge today." Han Ju sighed and raised his right hand. This time, he raised his middle finger at him. Ji Xianchen shook his arms. Golden lightning burst out and wrapped around his body, forming a solid golden tower. Han Ju activated the six-path spirit energy and began to accumulate power, preparing to use the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow World-Piercing Sword Finger. He hesitated. How much spirit energy should he use? When Han Ju raised the spirit energy in his middle finger to 30%, the terrifying aura caused Ji Xianchen to frown. This is the sword chi that killed the Fiend Emperor. To actually use a finger as a sword, it's indeed impressive. Ji Xianchen thought to himself. When the spirit energy in Han Ju's middle finger increased to 50%, Ji Xianchen felt his blood run cold. Not good. Would he be unable to stop it? Would he die? This thought appeared in Ji Xianchen's mind. Impossible. I'm the strongest genius in the history of the heavenly immortal manner. How can I die? Han Ju continued to increase the spirit energy of the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow World-Piercing Sword Finger. Wait, Ji Xianchen suddenly stopped. Cold sweat oozed out of his forehead. Han Ju retracted his hand and asked in surprise, "What's wrong?" Ji Xianchen heaved a sigh of relief. His face was slightly red as he said, "Forget it. Since you don't want me to disturb you, I'll come again when you're free. Farewell." With that, Ji Xianchen turned around, turned into a shadow, and quickly disappeared into the forest. Han Ju shook his head and laughed. "This guy is a little cute. This is the world's #1. Han Ju returned to the cave abode. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, "Where did you go just now?" "To meet a friend." "Male or female?" "Eh? What does that have to do with you?" Seeing Han Ju frown, Dao Comprehension Sword panicked. She hurriedly waved her hand and said, "I'm just worried about you." Han Ju couldn't be bothered with her. He closed his eyes and shifted his consciousness back into Xing Hongshuan's puppet. He continued to inspect the Daoist temple and discovered that there was only one remnant soul inside. As for the restriction, the danger level was very low. Han Ju stopped investigating. After Xing Hongxian woke up, he would remind her not to disturb the remnant soul. What if it was very strong? According to the cultivation novels Han Ju read in his previous life, it was certain that there were powerful figures hidden in the world. There might also be terrifying existences that could overturn the 6 realms lurking in the mortal world. There might be as many loose immortals as there were dogs, and the age of Mahayana being common everywhere could come at any time. Han Ju's consciousness returned to the cave abode and continued cultivating. He had to maintain this cultivation speed. He could only be faster, not slower, or else he would feel uneasy. 5 years later, the guest elder of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, Duku, came to visit Han Ju. He was here to say goodbye as he was preparing to ascend. Before leaving, he wanted to visit Su Qi. No matter what, Su Qi was the last disciple of the demon taming sect. Before he ascended, he had to say his goodbyes. Han Ju frowned and said, "I think you shouldn't visit him and just directly ascend." Duku frowned. "Why? Are you afraid that I'll steal him from you?" "No, it's for your own sake. I'm just saying goodbye. If you stop me, it'll turn into my mental demon." "Alright, then hurry up." "Of course." Duku left to find Su Qi. Han Ju cursed silently. "I'm trying to help you, but you got angry at me?" What made Han Ju even more speechless was that after this fellow found Su Qi, he didn't directly say goodbye. Instead, he began to talk about the past between him and the demon-taming sect. Suchi was also speechless. In his opinion, the one who had destroyed the demon-taming sect was his master. He had to keep this matter a secret so as to not cause trouble for his master. After 5 days and 5 nights, Dooku finally left. For some reason, when Hanju used his divine sense to observe him, he felt that this guy's aura was covered in darkness. A sign of great calamity. 8 years later, in the middle of his cultivation, Hanju opened his eyes. He thought of Dooku and began to check the emails. Your good friend Zhou Fan had a fortuitous encounter and obtained a grand unity numinous treasure. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a demon saint and is severely injured. Your good friend Dooku transcended the tribulation and ascended. He encountered a sudden phenomenon in the heavenly tribulation and nearly died. Although he succeeded in his ascension, his cultivation was greatly damaged and his cultivation level declined instead of rising. Your grand disciple Feng Liang has obtained the recognition of a senior soul thought in the heavenly immortal manner. He has learned a great mystical power. Your disciple Morong Qi was attacked by demons, X75321. Your disciple Morong Qi has comprehended the spear Dao during the slaughter. His cultivation has increased greatly and he has awakened his divinity. Your friend Imo Fuzhou was attacked by ghosts, X1762. Hanju couldn't help but mourn for Dooku, fellow Taoist. You deserved it. However, this old fellow's luck was quite good. He actually made it through. Hanju noticed that Zhou Fan had obtained a grand unity numinous treasure. Was he going to rise up again? A grand unity numinous treasure was definitely an invincible weapon in the mortal world. As for Feng Liang, it was just a usual day of his life. There was no surprise. What surprised Hanju was that Morong Qi actually awakened his divinity. Grand disciple, impressive. Hanju didn't expect that the one he looked forward to the most was not his disciple but his grand disciple. Feng Liang and Morong Qi had already surpassed Sun Chang'an and Yang Tiandong fully. Displaying his talent in Providence, especially Morong Qi, he could be well nurtured. Perhaps the task of killing the vermilion bird would be completed by him, Hanju thought silently. He was about to continue cultivating. At this moment, Dao Comprehension Sword spoke, Master, you're awake. Good timing, the Fusong tree is moving again. Hanju frowned. Why? Dao Comprehension Sword shook her head. I'm not sure either. But, recently, during nighttime, the Fusong tree will shake. Your disciples are also very worried. Hanju got up and walked out of the cave abode. Upon seeing him, Sun Chang'an, the chaotic heavenly dog, and the black hell chicken hurriedly knelt down. Hanju looked up. The 2 golden crows were still napping on the tree. They did not leave the Fusong tree, so why did the Fusong tree sway? Don't invite trouble again, Master. I definitely didn't leave the Fusong tree. Even if I did, it wouldn't have taken more than 5 minutes. The black hell chicken hurriedly promised, its tone filled with fear. Hanju ignored it and probed into the Fusong tree with his divine sense, wanting to see if there was anything wrong inside. The Fusong tree was very healthy and full of life. It didn't seem like something had happened. Hanju was puzzled. Boom! Heaven and earth rumbled. A thunderous explosion suddenly erupted, startling Dao Comprehension Sword and the others. Even the other disciples of the sect were shocked. The 2 golden crows on the Fusong tree immediately straightened their necks and looked in the same direction. Their eyes were filled with hostility. Chap 142. 5th level of the Mahayana realm, descendant of a true dragon. What's that sound? What's going on? Did someone's tribulation transcendence fail? I don't know. It seems to be coming from outside the sect. Damn it, I almost developed a mental demon. I was refining a weapon. My precious materials are all ruined. Could it be an enemy attack? The disciples of the Jade Pure Sacred sect were shocked. The elders also came out of seclusion and surveyed the surroundings. Hanju noticed the abnormality of the 2 little golden crows and couldn't help but follow their gaze. However, he couldn't see any divine beasts or demon beasts. the surrounding mountains and rivers of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect were also in good condition. There were no signs of damage. It was obvious that the previous explosion had come from far away. Hanju used the simulation test to check the area within 100 miles. He didn't find any demon beasts or divine beasts. He didn't let down his guard and waited patiently. Soon, Taoist 9 Cauldrons and Li Qingzi arrived to ask about the situation. Hanju shook his head and said, "I don't know what happened either." The Black Hell Chicken, Sun Chang'an, Dao Comprehension Sword, and the others tactfully did not mention the abnormality of the Fusang tree. They were loyal to Hanju and not to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. "I hope there won't be another disaster," Li Qingzi said worriedly. He had been busy cultivating recently. After breaking through to the soul formation realm, his cultivation level could no longer increase, making him very worried. Even if the immortal mountain was filled with abundant spirit chi, his cultivation potential was limited. "Don't worry. With me around, nothing will happen to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Go back and manage the sect. Don't panic," Hanju said. Taoist 9 Cauldrons and Li Qingzi nodded and did not disturb him anymore. After they left, Hanju looked at the sky again. What was it? The Fusang tree shook every night after the world rumbled, but the source never came. This continued for half a year. Taoist 9 Cauldrons came again. Half a year ago, the loud noise came from the demons. An ancient ferocious beast called the three-headed Wyrm King was born. This Wyrm has a mixed bloodline and has a pair of wings. He can control the wind and summon the rain. He has a savage nature and is not far from our great Yin, Taoist 9 Cauldrons said with a solemn expression. Three-headed Wyrm King, Hanju asked, "Did this beast unite the demons?" "That's not the case. It's said that the demons also reject him as he's gluttonous. Back when he was a demon king, he would often eat the demons under him. The demons were unwilling to serve him." Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. He had thought that the demons would be like the previous demonic path cultivators and start a world war. Fortunately, the three-headed Wyrm King did not have the demons' support. Then came the question. The Fusang tree was shaking, which meant that the three-headed Wyrm King was after the tree. Why hadn't the three-headed Wyrm King come yet? Wariness, or was he plotting something? Hanju couldn't figure it out. In that case, he could only use the Book of Misfortune to solve it. Taoist 9 Cauldrons also talked about the recent development of the sect. He intended to nurture Morong Chi as the eldest disciple. He would have the authority to command the entire sect's disciples. Other than his status being inferior to the elders, his actual authority would be higher. Hanju had no objections and let Taoist 9 Cauldrons do as he pleased. Morong Chi had truly given Taoist 9 Cauldrons a pleasant surprise. He hadn't expected this child's potential to be so terrifying. Taoist 9 Cauldrons even wondered if the other disciples under Hanju were as powerful as him. However, he didn't dare to ask. It was already good enough that Hanju could make Morong Chi work for the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. After Taoist 9 Cauldrons left, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to curse the three-headed Wyrm King. Great Yen North Region. The demon king Dian Su knelt on the snow, trembling. In front of him, amidst the flying snow, 3 pairs of scarlet eyes stared at him. The eyes were even larger than demon king Dian Su himself. The being's true form was definitely massive. The direction you speak of might lead to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. I'd advise you to give up on that idea, Demon King Dian Su said with a trembling voice. The fear that this demon gave him reminded him of Great Sage Green Python. In fact, he was even stronger. Was the three-headed Wyrm King, a hoarse voice followed. Is the Jade Pure Sacred Sect very powerful? Very strong. There might be an immortal living there. Nonsense. How can immortals live in the mortal world? In any case, they're very strong. In the entire world, the Jade Pure Sacred Sect is definitely the most terrifying place. I even think that the Heavenly Immortal Manor is not as terrifying as the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. The three-headed Wyrm King fell silent, was originally sleeping underground, absorbing the spirit chi of the land. However, as the Fusang tree continued to grow, he was finally awakened from his slumber. He broke through the surface, seeking the treasure that had attracted him, but for some reason, as he hurried along, he felt inexplicably terrified. He felt that he would die if he went thus. The three-headed Wyrm king did not dare to rashly go forward. He slowed down and asked the demons along the way. He received a unified answer. There was a treasure in the Great Yen that attracted him. It had to be in the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. If it's the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, don't go. Previously, when Zhu Do had flown into the Great Yen towards the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, it died. Previously, when Great Sage Green Python had struck the Jade Pure Sacred Sect with unstoppable force, it died. These things might have been forgotten in the human race, but among the demons, there were still terrifying legends. Is the Jade Pure Sacred Sect really that strong? The three-headed Wyrm king silently thought. It was at the 6th level of the Mahayana realm. Who in the world could kill him? But that sense of unease didn't go away. Dian Su was uneasy, afraid that the three-headed Wyrm king would become angry and eat him. Finally, the three-headed Wyrm king left. Dian Su heaved a sigh of relief. 13 years passed. Hanju broke through to the 3rd level of the Mahayana realm. The Fusang tree also shook for 13 years. Hanju even suspected that it did that on purpose. A tea could be a predatory action, like a man-eating flower. With the 2 golden crows around, the demons and divine beasts in the mortal world would probably not dare to come. However, Hanju was still very cautious. Every once in a while, he would check on the Jade Pure Sacred Sect to prevent demons from infiltrating. After breaking through, Hanju consolidated his cultivation and tested the highest cultivation level in the sect. 11 ICSECL. Three-headed Wyrm king, 6th level of the Mahayana realm, descendant of a true dragon. He was finally here. Hanju narrowed his eyes. A descendant of a true dragon? Someone with a background. Hanju first selected the three-headed Wyrm king for a simulation trial. This fellow was too weak. He was insta-killed. Hanju started to test the Wyrm's location. Immediately, he was speechless. The three-headed Wyrm king turned into a young male disciple and knelt at the foot of the Immortal Mountain with several disciples, wanting to become Hanju's disciple. Ever since Sun Chang'an, Morong Qi, and Feng Liang succeeded, there were always disciples kneeling at the foot of the mountain. They didn't dare to make any noise and quietly kowtowed, especially with Morong Qi's rise. The disciples idolized the deity-slaying elder even more. What's this guy doing? Hanju touched his chin and thought, forget it, let him continue kneeling. Then, Hanju closed his eyes and continued cultivating. A year later, the three-headed Wyrm king was still kowtowing. Hanju felt that he couldn't continue like this, so he asked Sun Chang'an to fetch him into the cave abode. To prevent anything from happening to Sun Chang'an, he told the 2 golden crows to land on his shoulders to protect him. The golden crows were at the 7th level of the Mahayana realm. Would they be unable to defeat a 6th level Mahayana realm cultivator? Chap 143. 700 years, Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. On the way down the mountain, Sun Chang'an's body stiffened. His steps were very unnatural. The 2 golden crows were on his shoulders. He was truly afraid. If the 2 of them accidentally ignited the true sun flame, he would instantly be a goner. Passing halfway up the mountain, Yang Tiandong, who was cultivating, asked curiously, Junior, where are you going? Master said that there's a promising talent at the foot of the mountain and asked me to bring him up, Sun Chang'an answered truthfully. Yang Tiandong frowned slightly. Another disciple? No, this time, I want to take in a disciple too. Yang Tiandong coveted Morong Qi and Feng Liang's potential. He also wanted such disciples. I'll go with you. Of course. Sun Chang'an wasn't stupid. He could guess what Yang Tiandong was thinking, but he didn't care. To be honest, he really did not want to accept a disciple. He felt useless. His disciples were also taught by his master. Anyway, his disciples clearly respected his master more. One day, Hanju asked Morong Qi and Feng Liang to kill him. He believed that these 2 brats would definitely not hesitate. The fellow disciples arrived at the foot of the mountain with their own thoughts. Sun Chang'an opened the formation and called the three-headed Wyrm king in. The other disciples looked at the Wyrm with envy and jealousy. The three-headed Wyrm king saw the two fire ravens on Sun Chang'an's shoulders and its heart beat wildly. The two little golden crows stared at it with hostility. What birds are these? Making me afraid. The three-headed Wyrm king's heart churned. In this mortal world, this was the first time he had encountered a creature whose bloodline made him shiver. Most importantly, Yang Tiandong and Sun Chang'an were so weak. How did they obtain these two mysterious fire ravens? May I ask who is the deity-slaying elder? The three-headed Wyrm king asked cautiously. Sun Chang'an said expressionlessly, the deity-slaying elder is our master. You're not qualified to see him. Yang Tiandong smiled and said, don't worry, Junior. Master wants us to bring you up. He definitely thinks highly of you. The two's attitudes were completely different, making the three-headed Wyrm king extremely confused. The three-headed Wyrm king could only suppress his doubts and follow the two up the mountain. The two little golden crows kept staring at him, making him extremely uncomfortable. Before long, they arrived at the top of the mountain. When the three-headed Wyrm king saw the Fusang tree, it was immediately stunned. This was definitely what he was looking for. The three-headed Wyrm king suppressed his excitement. He noticed a black chicken perched on the Fusang tree and a white dog under the tree. These are the deity-slaying elders' beast pets. From today onwards, you will cultivate under the tree. As for whether you can become my disciple, that will depend on your performance. After saying this, Sun Chang'an walked to the edge of the cliff and looked up at the sky. His back was extremely desolate, like a beaten dog. In the past few years, he would always think of Qianer, causing him to be unable to concentrate on cultivation. The tribulation cast by the divine Buddha was not something that a mortal heart could withstand. The three-headed Wyrm king walked to the Fusang tree and sat down. The two little golden crows climbed up the tree again and continued to stare at him. Yang Tiandong sat beside him and started chatting with him. As a senior, Yang Tiandong began to describe his experiences over the years, wanting to make the three-headed Wyrm king worship him. Although the three-headed Wyrm king was very unhappy, he still had to endure. The more he listened, the more disdainful he became. Demon King Dian Su, a coward from the north of the Great Yen, the three-headed Wyrm king was restless. He wanted to seize the Fusang tree, but he didn't know the deity-slaying elder's cultivation level, so he was very hesitant. Logically speaking, if he could raise the two mysterious fire ravens, this deity-slaying elder must be very strong. I'll wait for a while. The three-headed Wyrm king sighed in his heart. Several years later, in the cave abode, 3 lines of words appeared in front of Hanju. Detected that you are already 700 years old. You have taken another step forward in life. You have the following choices. 1. Leave seclusion immediately and become the number 1 in the world. You can obtain a numinous treasure. 2. Continue cultivating and surpass the Mahayana realm as soon as possible. You can obtain a heavenly Tao spirit stone. Hanju didn't hesitate and chose to continue cultivating. The heavenly Tao spirit stone was not bad. It could strengthen Dharma treasures. Hanju took out the heavenly Tao spirit stone and selected the Book of Misfortune. The Book of Misfortune was the only Dharma treasure that could remotely harm the enemies of the upper world. It was worth strengthening. Several days later, it successfully fused with the heavenly Tao spirit stone. Your Book of Misfortune has been upgraded from a Supreme Grade Grand Unity Numinous Treasure to a Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. The Book of Misfortune is a Karma Dharma treasure. Please use it cautiously. Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. Hanju raised his eyebrows and suddenly regretted his choice. Would the Book of Misfortune hurt him instead? Hanju carefully used the Book of Misfortune and cursed Taoist Juyan. Didn't dare to use too much spirit energy. He wanted to test the effect first. 7 days later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune because he noticed that his lifespan had decreased by dozens of years. It seemed that he couldn't use it for more than 7 days at once, or his lifespan would be shortened. He clicked on his interpersonal link to check his emails. Your disciple Feng Liang was attacked by demon beasts, X97884. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X170210. Your grand disciple Morong Qi has barged into the demon abyss. His fate is unknown. Your good friend Imo Fuzhou has absorbed the soul of a ghost deity and transformed his Providence. Your good friend Zhou Fan is being hunted by 10 sections. He's condensing his killing intent. Your Dao companion Xing Hongxian has comprehended an ancient breathing technique. Your good friend Chang Yuer has comprehended an ancient breathing technique. Your enemy Daoist Juyan had his lifespan reduced by 10,000 years because of your curse, giving birth to mental demons. Your grand disciple Feng Liang accidentally entered the heavenly immortal Manor's forbidden land and consumed the 10,000-year sacred fruit. His cultivation potential has increased by leaps and bounds. Han Ju was amused when he saw Daoist Juyan's outcome. He felt that he could curse him to death. Losing several decades of lifespan could reduce Daoist Juyan's lifespan by 10,000 years. Too ridiculous. However, Han Ju did not want to take the risk. Although he had a lifespan of more than 100,000 years, if he kept doing this, he would eventually harm himself. Next time, he could only curse for 6 days at most. No more than that. He would slowly grind Daoist Juyan and the vermilion bird to death. Han Ju thought proudly. He placed his attention outside the cave abode. The three-headed Wyrm king was still cultivating under the Fusang tree with Yang Tiandong beside him. All these years, the three-headed Wyrm king had been very well behaved. Han Ju decided to tell him the truth. Go out and call the new kid in. You'll come back in when he's out, Han Ju instructed. Dao Comprehension Sword immediately stood up and left. After hearing Dao Comprehension Sword's message, the three-headed Wyrm king felt inexplicably nervous. Yang Tiandong patted his shoulder and smiled. The opportunity is here. Master wants to impart his mystical power to you. The three-headed Wyrm king secretly despised him, but on the surface, he chuckled and nodded. He carefully entered the cave abode. Boom! The cave abode's stone door closed, making the Wyrm even more nervous. The three-headed Wyrm king knelt down in front of Han Ju. The moment he saw Han Ju, he was stunned. What a handsome man. It was his first time seeing such a beautiful face. TSK, what am I thinking? The three-headed Wyrm king felt as if he had been infected by Yang Tiandong. His mind was no longer normal. With that thought, he hated Yang Tiandong even more. Han Ju said expressionlessly. Three-headed Wyrm king, 6th level of the Mahayana realm. I'll give you 2 choices now. 1. Become a mountain guardian on my Cultivate. Diligently become a mortal mountain. You can cultivate under the divine tree. 2. Die. The three-headed Wyrm king suddenly raised his head and looked at him in shock. Chap 144. Heavenly Court's plan. Feng Liang's return. He knows my identity and cultivation level. How can this be? The three-headed Wyrm king's heart churned. He had an innate mystical power that allowed him to hide his cultivation level and true body. Why was he still discovered by the deity slaying elder? What did that mean? It meant that the other party was far stronger than him. Han Ju spoke very calmly and didn't seem to be bluffing. The three-headed Wyrm king had a feeling that if he stood up, he would definitely be killed. There wasn't even a chance to escape. Han Ju stared at him expressionlessly, waiting for his answer. As long as the three-headed Wyrm king dared to say no or flee, he would die. The Fusang tree was already exposed. News of this divine tree could not be spread. Han Ju wasn't afraid of offending the true dragon behind the three-headed Wyrm king. Dragons were passionate and liked spreading their seeds. Who knew how many descendants there were? The three-headed Wyrm king gritted his teeth and asked, Who exactly are you, senior? Han Ju said, I come from the 6 paths of reincarnation. I don't enter the 5 elements or fall into reincarnation. The three-headed Wyrm king didn't know what he was saying, but it sounded impressive. He still hesitated. Was he going to be a watchdog now? Han Ju asked, Do you think I'm scaring you? If not, you can receive my finger attack. If you can survive, you should give up. No, no, no. The three-headed Wyrm king hurriedly waved his hands, almost frightened to death. He immediately lowered his head and gritted his teeth. From now on, I, the three-headed Wyrm king, will be Senior's mountain guardian. As long as I live, the mountain will remain. Han Ju got up and came in front of him. He raised his hand to touch his head and secretly placed the 6 paths insignia. You won't suffer if you follow me. This will be the greatest opportunity in your life, Hanju said softly. The 3-headed Wyrm king hurriedly thanked him, but no favorability appeared. Great, I still have to observe you later. If I sense anything wrong, I'll kill you, Hanju thought silently. Then, he had the 3-headed Wyrm king leave the cave abode. He transmitted his voice to the 2 little golden crows as he stared at the Wyrm. The little golden crow yearned to eat the 3-headed Wyrm king, but the 3-headed Wyrm king didn't do anything bad and didn't develop any hatred towards him. Hanju felt that he could nurture it. When he surpassed the vermilion bird and ascended, he would definitely have to take the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain with him. At that point, his disciples and grand disciples might also reach the threshold of ascension. The stronger the power of the Immortal Mountain, the better. The 3-headed Wyrm king returned to the Fusong tree. Yang Tiandong asked in surprise, so fast? The moment he saw Yang Tiandong, the 3-headed Wyrm king became annoyed. He said with a snort, "Humph, from now on, I'm the mountain guardian of Cultivate. Diligently become Immortal Mountain." Mountain guardian? That's right. I'm a 3-headed Wyrm king at the 6th level of the Mahayana realm. I'm not pretending anymore. Get lost. What? Yang Tiandong was shocked. The Black Hell Chicken, Dao Comprehension Sword, Sun Chang'an, and the chaotic heavenly dog looked at him in surprise. The Wyrm's head suddenly split into 3, scaring Yang Tiandong so much that he tumbled away. Upon seeing his reaction, the 3-headed Wyrm king was overjoyed. Demon King Dian Su was as weak as you when facing me, the 3-headed Wyrm king said proudly. Yang Tiandong felt extremely ashamed and wished that he could find a hole to hide in. Hanju witnessed everything in the cave abode and didn't say anything, was very satisfied that the 3-headed Wyrm king had revealed his identity. At the very least, it meant that the Wyrm did not care about his reputation. Furthermore, it could also make others wary of him. Hanju entered his cultivation state again. Inside a Taoist temple, sandalwood fragrance pervaded the air like a mortal mist. An old Taoist, cultivating in meditation, suddenly spat out blood and became dispirited. He opened his eyes and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. With a sinister expression, he gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it. Who cursed me?" How many years had it been? The mysterious curse had only grown stronger. He couldn't even remember how many times he had been cursed. Right, he was Taoist Juyan, the master of Great Sage Green Python, Luo Chioma's master, and Hanju's enemy. Although Taoist Juyan was cursing, he was even more fearful. The other party was definitely an almighty figure. The recent curse had even begun to affect his Tao foundation. How could that be? If this continued, would he be cursed to death? Taoist Juyan gritted his teeth. He took out a jade slip from his sleeve and poured his spirit energy into it. After a while, a figure rose from the jade slip. His entire body emitted a green glow, making it impossible to see his true appearance and clothes. What is it? Senior, I've been cursed. Let me calculate. Taoist Juyan waited uneasily. The green figure said in surprise, "I can't even deduce it. Have you offended anyone?" Taoist Juyan felt wronged and said, "Ever since I ascended, I've been in seclusion. How can I offend anyone?" How strange, the green figure muttered to himself. Taoist Juyan was even more terrified. If even this senior couldn't figure it out, wouldn't he be dead? Recently, the heavenly court was attacked by a demon saint. The devil race took the opportunity to disturb many mortal worlds. You have just ascended for thousands of years. It might be related to the Providence in the mortal world. At most, it will take 1,000 years. When the heavenly court recovers, it will cleanse the forces of the demons in the mortal realm. Some of the mortal worlds have been corroded by the devil race. When the time comes, we have to clean it up. I will use this opportunity to make you a heavenly soldier. Seize the opportunity well." The azure figure spoke. His words surprised Taoist Juyan. Taoist Juyan immediately said, the mortal world I lived in was invaded by the devil race. I was planning to descend into the mortal world a few hundred years later to take a look. It's good to descend into the mortal world and understand the situation. When the time comes, I can provide information to the heavenly court. The azure figure vanished. Taoist Juyin carefully put the jade slip away. Damn devils, how dare they curse me. Taoist Juyin thought hatefully that when he descended to the mortal world, he would definitely destroy their plot. Spring passed and autumn came. 11 years passed quickly. Hanju successfully broke through to the 6th level of the Mahayana realm. On this day, Feng Liang returned, the black hell chicken, the chaotic heavenly dog, Sun Chang'an, Morong Qi, Dao Comprehension sword, and Yang Tiandong surrounded him. Feng Liang had actually reached the void amalgamation realm. Everyone was shocked. Morong Qi was stuck at the 9th level of the soul formation realm. He thought that his progress was already ridiculous, but he didn't expect Feng Liang to be even more exaggerated. The black hell chicken was depressed. What it had been worried about had finally happened. It was very likely that it could not defeat the combined forces of Feng Liang and Morong Qi. Sun Chang'an was also depressed. He had finally been left behind by his disciple Yang Tiandong's envy turned into jealousy. He also wanted such a disciple. The chaotic heavenly dog was dumbfounded. Even the ugly monk's disciple is stronger than me. I've encountered many opportunities in the past few years. That's why I'm in my current realm. Feng Liang smiled humbly, but it was obvious that he had changed. He was more confident than before. The three-headed Wyrm king was disdainful. A mere cultivator at the void amalgamation realm could shock them so much. The two little golden crows suddenly landed on Feng Liang's shoulders and rubbed themselves against his face affectionately. Feng Liang asked curiously, "These two are?" The black hell chicken smiled slyly. "I gave birth to them. Previously, Master caught a fire raven for me." Before it could finish speaking, the two little golden crows turned to look at it, scaring it so much that it dared not speak. Chap 145. 7th level of the Mahayana realm, limit of the mortal realm. Junior, long time no see. Why don't we join forces to fight the black hell chicken? Morong Qi winked. He couldn't stand the chicken's posturing. Feng Liang smiled. Sure. Even after so many years, the black hell chicken was still so contemptible. The black hell chicken yawned and pretended not to hear them. Everyone sat down and started chatting. Feng Liang recounted his experiences over the years. He fought demons, devils, and ghosts. Now, he had become a genius of the heavenly immortal manner. He was extremely famous. The three-headed Wyrm king pretended not to care, but in reality, it was also eavesdropping. This kid's talent is so terrifying. The three-headed Wyrm king was secretly shocked. The deity-slaying elder has such talented people under him. It seemed that other than Yang Tiandong, everyone else was very talented. At the same time, a line of words appeared in front of Hanju. Three-headed Wyrm king has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 2 stars. Hanju felt that there was something wrong with the three-headed Wyrm king. There was something wrong with his head. This favorability came out of nowhere. Hanju didn't care too much. He was also eavesdropping on Feng Liang's experience. Su Qi was the male protagonist of a rags to riches Xianxia novel. Then Feng Liang was in a self-fulfillment fantasy. In the past few years, the number of times he had been severely injured could be counted on one hand. Most of the time, he had been rampaging everywhere, and opportunities had been presented to him one by one. Everyone sighed. Feng Liang was really impressive, as even Morong Qi was impressed. Several hours later, Feng Liang stood up and went to visit Hanju. After entering the cave abode, Feng Liang knelt in front of Hanju. He was very excited and even had the urge to cry. Hanju smiled and said, "How does this training feel?" Feng Liang said excitedly, "I finally understand Grandmaster's good intentions. Such training has indeed transformed me. I became a genius in the heavenly immortal manner and felt that I had already obtained all the opportunities one could. There was no need for any more opportunities, so I came back. I still want to cultivate in front of Grandmaster and cultivate the great Tao. After reaching the void amalgamation realm, Fang Liang indeed had no requirement for fortuitous encounters. Currently, he had cultivation techniques, mystical powers, spells, treasures, and so on. He only needed to constantly accumulate cultivation. The two chatted for a long time. Fang Liang left and went to the Fusang tree to find a spot to meditate. Dao Comprehension Sword returned to the cave abode and looked at Han Ju. Master, do you think I should go out and train? Fang Liang's experience made everyone excited. They also wanted to obtain various opportunities. Han Ju asked, why do you want to train? You can obtain opportunities by training. What's the use of opportunities? I can become stronger. What's the point of becoming stronger? To protect Master. I need your protection? Dao Comprehension Sword thought about it carefully. He seemed to be right. She tilted her head and asked, then, what's the meaning of my existence, Master? Han Ju said seriously, companionship. You only need to cultivate steadily and keep up with everyone's pace. Dao Comprehension Sword couldn't help but be overjoyed when she heard that. Her smile became even more beautiful. In Han Ju's opinion, as long as Dao Comprehension Sword cultivated in peace, she would become an immortal sooner or later. There was no need to go out and explore. Besides, not everyone's training had the same effect. There was only one Fang Liang in this world. In the end, no one suggested training to Han Ju, especially the young Tiandong and the chaotic heavenly dog. They were truly afraid. They dared not go out again. Cultivating on the Immortal Mountain was not too boring. When they had nothing to do, they could chat, discuss, and even fight. Han Ju even allowed them to wander around the inner sect city. That was already very good. At the same time, his disciples and divine pets were worried. They were worried that Han Ju would ascend. With the strength he displayed, he was not far from ascending. What would they do when he ascended? Under Morong Chi's call, everyone decided to cultivate hard and strive to ascend with Han Ju. Han Ju had a better impression of Morong Chi after this. Not only was Morong Chi talented and heroic, but he also had the ability to lead. Not bad, not bad. Expected of the former Divine Palace War God. As a god of war, not only was his cultivation strong, but he was also the commander of an army. 19 years later, Han Ju broke through to the 7th level of the Mahayana realm. His calm heart finally stirred. 7th level of the Mahayana realm. He was close to the upper limit. At most, it would take him 20 years to cross a minor realm. Perhaps, he would surpass the Mahayana realm in 50 years. Awesome. Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to curse Vermilion Bird. He had tested that as long as the curse did not last more than 6 days, it would not consume his lifespan. He pulled up his interpersonal relationships and checked his emails. Your good friend Imo Fuzhou was attacked by righteous cultivators, X5427. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X742200. Your good friend Ji Xianchen has gained enlightenment of the grand unity mystical power, causing a huge commotion. Your good friend Huang Jihao has condensed the heart of the sword. His sword intent is extraordinary. Your good friend Taoist 9 Cauldrons was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X743. Your pet black hell chicken has awakened the mystical power of its previous life. Your enemy Vermilion Bird has developed a mental demon because of your curses. Apart from Imo Fuzhou and Zhou Fan, who were brothers in adversity, the others had been attacked several times. Han Ju glanced at them. Most of them were news of opportunities. He was puzzled. Have these friends been on steroids all these years? For some reason, Han Ju felt a strong sense of uneasiness. Something was wrong. As a Mahayana realm cultivator, premonitions were often real. This was his comprehension of the heavenly Tao. No, I have to ask my good brother. Han Ju started to comprehend sword intent. His reincarnation sword intent had not been upgraded yet. It was great timing now. A month later, strange phenomena appeared in the sky. The cultivators of the world were very calm, but the mortals were surprised. To mortals, decades were a lifetime. It was a rare phenomenon. Han Ju came to the Sword Dao River again and quickly arrived in front of Zhang Guxing. What do you want to ask this time? Ever since Hanju started to frequently appear, Zhang Guxing would occasionally wonder when that brat would come. He even suspected that he was ill. Senior, recently, many people with great providence have appeared in our mortal world, and they all obtained opportunities during the same time. Do you think this is reasonable? Hanju asked. Zhang Guxing said, it's normal for there to be people with great providence in the mortal world. There are also many with great providence in the upper world. However, those with great providence are not equivalent to experts. Experts might not necessarily have great providence. You might be overthinking this. Hanju frowned. But I feel uneasy. Zhang Guxing hesitated for a moment and said, there's indeed a possibility. People experience terminal lucidity, and so does the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao in the mortal world might have sensed that trouble is about to descend. This is the heavenly Tao's act of saving itself. There's trouble in the mortal world. Hanju felt even more uneasy. Zhang Guxing continued, now that I think about it, I understand something. It might be related to the invasion of the devil race. The heavenly court might want to purge them for good. At that time, the immortals and gods would descend into the mortal world. If the devil race has taken over and the demonic path prevails, the heavenly court might directly destroy this mortal world. Although the heavenly Tao is bound by rules, never think too simply of it. P.S. Sorry for delay, forgot to upload it earlier.